What's going on, everybody? We're back here for another exciting episode. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. And we got a lot to talk about today. Bitcoin price is maybe not so good. HEX price maybe a little bit better. There's actually a death cross on the Bitcoin chart. So we're actually going to be talking about that. Because a lot of people are talking about the death cross. We also have Pulsechain updates. We're going to talk about the Pulsechain updates and things like that. We have maybe some hints as to whether when testnet V3 is going to be launching. We have a lot of stuff, guys. There's a lot of good stuff to be talked about. So thank you guys for tuning in. We also have the Kraken story. The SEC shut down Kraken. So we're going to be shut down the Kraken staking. We're going to talk about what that means and what implications that will have for HEX. Because, staking, it's big. So Darren Riley, as a newbie to crypto, I sacrificed for PulseX, and Johnny made it sound like that might not be the best. What are your thoughts on PulseX, Furu? One second. All right, and we're back. No, that's not a mistake. That's not a mistake to sacrifice for PulseX. But Johnny thinks that it's going to HEX is going to do the best, and he says that based on it will only happen. Meaning, well, what he says is it's very complicated. But he's saying that the OA is going to provide such thick liquidity that if you move up PulseX, you're going to have to move up HEX. Which means that PulseX can't outperform HEX, whatever. But that's provided the OA does that, which there's a good chance that he will. And also, Johnny does believe that HEX is going to do better. That doesn't mean that it's bad to sacrifice for PulseX. I sacrifice for PulseX. I'm going to be buying Pulsechain, but I do think HEX is the best, at least in the long run. So, but Darren Riley, if you're a newbie, go to furufinance.com right now and go schedule your free one-on-one with me. But yeah, thanks for the question. Davis, $50, $49.99. Wow. Thank you so much for the generous donation. I really, really appreciate that with no message. So really, really appreciate your generosity and your support for the show. Keeps us going. And appreciate you tuning in as well, Davis. So thank you so much. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Clayton Fox says, yes, for HEXXX. Enthio Sapien, thank you for bringing your friend Sami to my attention. His insights are phenomenal. You're great at finding these hidden gems. Hey, pleasure. He's around. I mean, I'm definitely not going to take credit for bringing him, to everyone's attention. A lot of people have been talking to him for quite some time, but he is phenomenal. I really like him a lot, and he follows me. And I think I have one of his tweets I'm covering on the stream today, which is awesome. Good morning, Furu. Kings in the chat. The Schwans of Donner, of House Donner has entered. Welcome, Chad Donner Schwans. Always great having you here. Smooth and Crypto, what's up, my guy? Always thank you, man. These liquidity pools gonna make us all rich. Yes, I hope so. This is very big, this Hart's Law thing that Johnny brought up on my stream. And then on Crypto 7. And everyone's talking about it. It's very, very exciting. I'm sure Richard Hart has heard about it and has processed it if he hadn't been planning it before Johnny brought it up. So that is certainly going to be very interesting. And we're obviously going to be covering that very frequently. We got 14 watching. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in. And thank you guys who are watching the replay. We really appreciate you. We really appreciate you taking the time to watch the replay. Without further ado, though, let's get into the Bitcoin chart. We got Bitcoin is dumping, been dumping for a couple of days. 21,508, down from its local high of 24,234. And it seems like it's breaking this critical support level. So if we close this candle below the support, we have a price target of 19,613. And that means that the 11K in prey is going to come back out of the woodwork after everyone, including myself, said that the bottom's in. I'm going to stick to my guns and say the bottom's in, even if it goes back to 19,613. But if I'd be lying if I'd say I wouldn't be a little bit nervous if it goes down that low. But we'll see if it holds the support or not. That would be very interesting if there's a new all-time low. That means that the 4-year cycle is broken. I mean, then we have to maybe find a new blueprint for taking profit and, navigating the market cycle, because the 4-year cycle has really been so solid. But we will adapt. But I think it's still intact. I think the bottom's in. But what do you guys think? This looks like a bottom, right? This looks like a bottom. What do you guys think? You guys think we're going to break below this and retest these lower levels? See, we could even retest the bottom of this channel, right? We could retest this channel, right? And we're still very far from 11K. 11K is a very long way down. I don't know, man. It sounds a little too much for me, but we'll see. What do you guys think? And the thing that is really important and that everyone's talking about, especially on like Bitcoin Twitter, is from Benjamin Cowan, which is the death cross. It's like, and there it is, the first weekly death cross for BTC. Yeah, so my take on this is, if these indicators are useful and should be something that we take into consideration, shouldn't the death cross have came in at 68,000, or let's say even here? But it already came down after it dropped 79, 80%. That's when we see the death cross. That seems like it's not a death cross. That, to me, seems like a golden cross. The golden cross and the death cross. I mean, once you drop that much and these flip, that should mean that we're consolidating and we're going to, maybe even start going back up a little bit. Because I remember the first death cross was like over here or something. And that's when it made new all-time highs. And everyone was talking about the death cross. The death cross. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily a reverse indicator. I don't like the idea of reverse indicators, but there's no indicators. There's no reverse indicators. But the last time there was a death cross, it was maybe a month away from starting to head up to new all-time highs. I don't like indicators. If indicators worked, you'd only need one. So the proof that there are many all contradicting each other is a testament to the fact that indicators are nonsense. And I'm not even, not even hating, bro. I mean, I'm hating a little bit, but if there was an indicator that was reliable and could predict future market directions, future market swings, it would be worth thousands of dollars to me. It would be worth millions. If anybody could predict future market price performance consistently, that's priceless. You would pay $1 million a year for that. People spend $25,000 a year on the Bloomberg terminal, which is not even an indicator. It's just helpful for research and whatever. And they still underperform the S&P 500. All these institutions underperform the S&P 500 with the Bloomberg terminal and all their research and development and salaries and things like that. So if there's one thing to say about that, it's that there is no indicator that's reliable. And the only use of indicators is to take your money. The only reliable use of indicators, like the Larson line, like the Into the Cryptoverse stuff, is they have use case and they are very reliable for taking your money, for charging you, what is it, like $500 a month or something, $250 a month. Very good. Those indicators work very, very well. But as for being able to predict future markets, they don't work. And then even if they did work, once everybody knows about it, you know, the market gets disrupted and people start front running, and then everything is out of whack, and it's just a completely different terrain. It's a completely different market, and it can't be reliable anymore. But that's that for the death cross. The death cross is a bunch of nonsense. I'd call it a golden cross. I'd go as far to say is that it is a golden cross. But yeah, then we got the HEX price. Actually, don't quote me on it. It's a golden cross. It means nothing. I think we're closer to the bottom than, from to the top, which means that it's closer to a golden cross if we haven't bottomed already. And frankly, if the death cross was reliable, it should have been here 6 months ago or 10 months ago, whatever, when Bitcoin was in the 50s and 60s. But it wasn't. HEX is at 4.5 cents. We had that brief euphoria, or not euphoria really, but that 5.7 cent local top. It looks like we cannot break above this resistance. So I thought we did, but then we came right back down, which means that it's not really resistance. Maybe the resistance is up here. Redraw the resistance. Yeah, I see it right here. There we go. See, now it's resistance. That's really the resistance. Pulling back to 4.53, I think it was on the Bitcoin dump, and also there was the Pulsechain V3 bug, which we're going to get into maybe a little bit. KDP has some good updates on that. What's next for HEX? I have no idea. But what is next for HEX? I think we go down a little bit. We're not going. I don't think we're going back down here to 2 cents. I think we're just going to maybe consolidate a little bit and then break above this for our testnet V3 target of 6.93 cents, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, do we call this a trend reversal because you have a lower high and then a higher high, or is this really the lower high? Is this really the high to take out in order to say that there's a clear trend reversal, and the trend is your friend until the end? So follow the trend. But that means that, yeah, I mean, we should be going up to 7 cents by testnet V3, in my opinion. At least mainnet could be considerably higher, but we're just going to have to wait and see. But the future is looking optimistic. There's a lot of good things lined up, including the Pulsechain launch that we're going to be talking about very shortly. But yeah, there you have it for HEX. It's also been seeing some nice decorrelation. I think decorrelation is also overrated, by the way, because decorrelation could be to the downside too. Like when everything's pumping, HEX could be dumping. So I mean, being correlated in price direction of the fastest appreciating asset is not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but some decorrelation to the upside, which is good. If you look at the Bitcoin, is it even that much to decorrelation? I guess it is. Definitely over the past couple of days, Bitcoin's been dumping a lot more. So that's that. Broader markets, probably very red. Wow. Red day. But as everyone knows, it's not always straight up, right? It's not always straight up. And then HEX daily stats, payout per T share of 6.3, solid 7.1 increase in T-share rate, and 53 new holders and 39 new stakers. But yesterday it was triple digits, 153, and the day before 181 change in current holders. So a lot of people being onboarded despite being down 95%, which I keep saying I like to see. And I do like to see it. I really do like to see it. But we got 47 watching, so please hit the like and subscribe button if you're enjoying the show. Appreciate you all tuning in. Before we get into Twitter, I guess we could just check out the chat, see what you guys are saying. The Pulse Tube is here. Yo, go to the Pulse Tube on Twitter. There's TikToks on the Pulse Tube. We're going to cover the TikToks, by the way. And Mr. Yo, welcome. Funding Jim, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for tuning in, Funding Jim. Funding Jim, I'll send you a link if you're down to come on. But no pressure. It's never pressure. But if you are feeling up to it, you're always welcome on the show. So we got some interesting stuff to cover. So all signs point to it being bottomed, but it's always tough when market sentiment are up in the air. Yeah, it's always tough just in general. And Metastang is here. What is going on, Metastang? What is up? Thank you for tuning in. Metastang was in the Zoom meeting yesterday for Patreons. Guys, awesome Zoom meeting. Link to the Patreon in the description below so you too can watch the Zoom meeting from yesterday and attend live next Sunday, weekly, and get in the Discord and get huge discounts on consultations and stuff like that. And Funding Jim is coming in 10 minutes. Oh, I can't wait. Do I have my headphones here? Shoot. I need to get my headphones. I got to get my headphones, guys. Funding Jim is coming. Be back in a sec. And we're back and got the headphones. Zoom out. Try a weekly chart for what? For HEX? For HEX? For HEX? Weekly chart? Sure. I'm a man of the people. Weekly. Okay. Yeah, I guess because the weekly makes the previous high wicked. So really looks like the previous highs are wicked now. So I guess it looks like we're really above it because we have solid candles. I guess. I mean, it doesn't really mean anything at the end of the day, but I think the bottom's in. So you know what? I think the bottom's in. And Collins Crypto just checked. We are at the top of the downward weekly channel using weekly candles. Yeah, we are. All roads lead to HEX. Yes, very true. Funding Jim, keep fighting the fight, the good fight. You're a legend. Yes, very true too. And Brazology, what's going on, fellas? What is going on, Brazology? Let me just tweet out that Funding Jim's coming on the show. Funding Jim's coming on. So like, did he tweet it? Yeah. To discuss the next price and upcoming Pulsechain launch. And more. Tune in. Tweet that out. Awesome. Pulsechain news drop imminent. Well, I guess, yeah. I mean, we're pretty close. So appreciate your stream with Johnny. Thanks, man. Appreciate you tuning in. Oh, and Funding Jim will retweet me. Thanks, man. Awesome. I guess I don't want to go through the news until Funding Jim comes on. But you know what? There was one article I wanted to, we could cover because it's not really so significant. I mean, it is significant, but it's kind of old, which is, where is it? Oh, is HEX? There we go. Is HEX leading altcoins and leaving Bitcoin behind? By Watcher.Guru with 1.6 million followers on Twitter. That was cool. And it was tweeted by Christina Hype. So make sure you're following Christina Hype. January was a great month for the cryptocurrency industry. After a tiring 2022, markets were slowly turning green this year. Bitcoin in particular rose by 43%. On-chain analytics firm Sentiment believes that the focus could be lifting to altcoins like HEX as opposed to big cap coins. According to Sentiment, HEX and other altcoins like TMG and GRT have been recording rises ranging from 64% to 70% over the last week, elaborating on the same. The firm wrote, February hasn't seen a repeat of excitement for Bitcoin and Ethereum like we saw in January. But altcoins like HEX are up 64%. Is Bitcoin getting left behind, guys? Investors go on a HEX buying spree? This is cool. I don't know. These articles aren't so substantive and insightful, but community sentiment plays a crucial role in setting the landscape for a price rally in terms of most search assets on the cryptocurrency tracking platform CoinMarketCap, Bitcoin, Shiba Inu, part of the top 10 list regularly. Other prominent assets like Dogecoin, Cardano, Phantom, Volcano are part of the 20 to 30 range. HEX is not, because it's gate kept. It's gate kept, guys. We're being gate kept. Oh my gosh. $142.72% rise. HEX sentiment improves. Technical signals buy. There you go. There you go, guys. It looks like HEX is going to do very, very well, to say the least, in my opinion. Obviously not financial advice. Just a reminder, before Funding Jim comes in, if you would like to schedule a one-on-one, go to furufinance.com. It's free, and it's good for game planning the Pulsechain launch. It's good for It's good for your staking ladder, just discussing markets in general, implementing your crypto and traditional finance portfolio, whatever you want. We can do it here if you just go to furufinance.com and schedule it today. A lot of availability this week, so schedule it on your time. But yeah, that's really it for that in terms of that. What are you guys saying in the chat? %100 agree. Meta staying. Owe Whale pulled Hedron liquidity. Snapshot soon or Hedron dump and market buy Hex? That's a good question. No, Snapshot is not soon. There has to be V3 first. It was already confirmed that the whole skipping V3 is not true. So maybe he just pulled the liquidity because he wanted Hex to do better than Hedron, which would make sense. That's the problem with Hedron. Like, the OA controls enough of the supply. I don't know about most of the supply, but enough of the supply that he could nuke it, and he's not going to let it overtake Hex. Which is why Richard, says nice things about Hedron. Like, he doesn't hate it, to say the least. But anybody that's buying Hedron, anyone that's buying Hedron thinking that they're getting in early and they're going to have more mad gains than Hex, I think is severely mistaken, in my opinion, not financial advice. Because not only is the game theory inferior in the sense that its inflation just gets given liquid to Hex stakers, who could just dump it whenever they want, especially if they don't want to dump their Hex. Not only that, but even if, like, for some reason it performs well, it still has to get past the OA, and it's not going to. And I think Jim is here. Let me just get these in here. Hello.
What's up? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you great. Thank you so much for coming on. How have you been, man? You look like you're not in the US right now.
Yeah, I have different properties, and this is one of them. But yeah, this is always like your channel. Obviously, you come from a finance kind of interest and curiosity, and then making all the content that you've made about whether it's Hex, the crypto, or other cryptos. Always like your content. So had some free time, thought I'd pop on a little bit.
Awesome. Appreciate you popping on. So I have some stuff prepared, but also if there's something on your mind, we could take it that way. Where would you like to go?
Well, I like productive stuff. It's great to look at history and say this is what's happened and review that, contemplate. And it's great to, like you were saying something about whether the 4-year cycle of Bitcoin happenings and if that's going to hold true, 3 cycles worth of history. So, you're confirming a trend, and you say, okay, the first time it happens, is that related to halvening? The second time it happens, is it because a new pocket of economic energy has been hit? It goes from anti-government and peer-to-peer trade and things like that kind of narrative of people participating, cypherpunks, to then it's the gold and silver, communities that are tapped and says, here's an electronic form of your thing that you care about, privacy and all those issues. And then new economic energy is hit basically because it's speculation. It's no longer here's a unit of account. Here's something that I'm going to stow away for future use or squirrel away, during winter. It's kind of like that grasshopper and the ant story. So the start, I think, of a lot of this cryptocurrency stuff is here's a different proxy for value, and it happens to have a digital form, and it doesn't have counterparty or as much, censorship potential. These narratives, and that's what tapped into the gold and silver communities, back in 11 and 12 and 13, and then it becomes, again, even Richard talks about as far as his Bitcoin journey. Now it has a use case. Like he was saying something about Bitcoin in 2011, he had heard about it before that, but he didn't think it had a use case until the Silk Road kind of a unit of account narrative was popularizing it. But he bought in, I don't think it was for keeping the same value. I think he bought into it as a nascent technology that could be speculated on, right? Even like new technologies of, let's say, extracting gold from seawater, right? You have a reference point, which is the value of gold perceived by human beings, the metal. Jewelry, whether you want to call it a currency or not, it's electromagnetic properties and things like that used for technologies, right? So you have a reference point of value. And then now you have a nascent way or a brand new way to potentially extract it at a lower cost point than breaking rocks and sending men and labor and risk and liability to very dangerous environments. You say, oh, let's just run a pump through seawater and we'll find gold. And on a nano level, gold is in seawater. So then people speculate on those things, and they speculate about whether or not it has value because they're referencing it to something else, right? They're saying, here's a cheaper, more efficient way. Of course, I should speculate because that's going to be the way that gold is always extracted from this point on. From this point on, it's more efficient to do it the seawater version. And people will speculate on stocks and pioneers in the industry and narratives, and they will overestimate or underestimate the value that's actually derived from the technology. So that's kind of the thing, right? That we're still only 14 years into this cryptocurrency as a narrative, and we have all these different economic theories about why people overvalue or undervalue something. And even that infers that there's a middle point. Like, we don't know the value of censorship resistance, and we don't know really the value of non-banking entities, DEXs and things like that, really through cycles. So it's interesting. I just popped on mostly because I was triggered by the phrase that you had said, which I still agree with, a 4-year cycle, because it's being popularized. And there's people with vested interest, whether they are chartists, whether they sell or buy programs, about how to read geometric shapes in chart, right? And it's the same thing. Like, if I bought a program for $1,000, or I went through an academic hazing, so to speak, to learn a process, I'm probably going to be vested in it, whether I am monetizing the resale or not. Like, there's so many people that look at charts, and the popularization about Bitcoin is still chart related. It's still look at what it did before, because they're referencing to stock market, or they're referencing to other things that have had speculative value that was materialized, other things that they will link it to, right? So I think that cycle is still there. I think that the chart, and again, I'm not a chartist. I latch onto it because other people latch onto it, and I get assigned things value because other people assign things value, knowledge or shape, or making sense patterns out of chaos. We all do that. That's a human characteristic. So I think it's still referenced. I think that there's some undulations, and it depends on who is the most charismatic on how they explain, or at least who is able to make something as an idea go the most viral, to say, here is why I believe this, and here's why other people are echoing my sentiment. And then it just happens to be that we place value on it. We had a really nice conversation a few days ago, five or 6 days ago. I was talking with George Gammon earlier in the day, and through DMs and stuff, and then he decided to have a central bank digital currency kind of Twitter space and host that. And then, because he had said it was going to be a certain time, then I started DMing the people that I look toward for knowledge about the regulation, or about the algorithm, or the function of central bank digital currencies, so that they could be speakers on that as well. Because George has some gravitas with different people of influence, or different audiences that come from fields outside of cryptocurrency that tend to listen to his macroeconomic analysis, right? So I wanted to be part of that conversation. And my only role, really, because I don't dig into the regulation and I don't, other than trusting in code, which, I can trust a plank after other people have walked on it. I can trust a path after there's footprints and they didn't get blown up, right? So like, I'm one of these people like, I'm really glad that developers put stuff out there. I'm really glad that pioneers exist to basically set a safer path, right? And that's what I wanted. So my role really was only to introduce people like Walrus or Jesse or Crypto Crazy, who's the founder of the Liquid Loans Protocol, because they tend to talk and deal with stable coins in this industry, right? That's what they're trying to do with their own products and projects, right? And I had invited Zero Coast, and he was listening in, but he couldn't because he had background noise. But he was going to participate the same way. And I like people like you that are pretty reasonable with your bridging techniques to other people that have a voice, right? There's something about like, do we engage concern trolls or do we address concern? Like it's a subjective labeling sometimes, right? So I like your frame, and I've gotten some heat over like engaging. And a good friend of mine now is Alex, who's the his channel is Crypto Weekly Review, and I get heat because he's trolled Hex and Richard for 3 years, right? And I started getting DMs from other people that are pretty well known in the community and saying, why are you doing that? Like, why are you engaging this guy? Why are you making shorts for this guy, right? It's because I think that he speaks to an audience that I won't be able to reach. And I think that through familiarization and tactful communication, we can share ideas that become more popular. That they're less fringe and they're less hostile, right? Doesn't mean I'm kumbaya. It means that I want to engage, and I want to have not call for authority, but call for like analysis. Like, if Richard says, go with the grace of God and like blesses something, everyone's going to really think it's call to authority. Like, he knows so much more. Of course, he's infallible and he has no error in his analysis. But that's usually not how he educates most of the time. Like, he can get really hostile, but he usually says, here is the information I believed. Here's what I was referencing when I believed it. Here is the new information that I have to take into account, and I have to update my reality based on this new information. And he's really pretty good, especially quote unquote black shirt Richard, really good about going through, here's the points of my position, and here's why I don't agree with the opposition. Here's how I am pulling data or the reference point. You go do your research and come to your own conclusion from data that you can look at that I'm referencing and bring new data to the table. Like, I love that kind of scientific method. I love it. It's really, really what made me edify more Richard's intellect and analysis ability, and his ability to distill complex ideas into a simple catchphrase. That's really what I appreciate about Richard. And there are certain things that I don't appreciate about Richard, because I think he makes it more difficult and unnecessarily difficult for the disciples, so to speak, or the people that may echo the same sentiments, emotionally, to speak as well, right? Like, we may be speaking on passion and emotion and invested financial interest, but not really on the talking points. Like I want us to be better about that as a collective. Like, it's not my community, it's not my culture. I'm just a participant, but I want to be able to express, the things that I'm valuing out of this asset class of cryptocurrency. I don't see people as passionate about real estate and saying, oh my God, you are so wrong. and you're evil and terrible and you're doing, you know, harmful things because you're talking about the ROI in real estate. You know, you invested in a REIT instead of a single family house. You shouldn't be such a pleb and only invest in residential. You should go into commercial. Like, I don't see that passion in other asset classes, and even in competition of stock. I can see how the Apple people would be competing with the Microsoft people and saying, look, no one stands in line with the new release of a Microsoft product. You know, they're waiting overnight to get the new release of an Apple iPhone, right? So yeah, I can see the zealotry, and that's what I do love about our community is we are pretty bold as personality types. Maybe it's because we have a military background, some of us. Maybe it's because we just are idealist. You know, we appreciate the gladiatorial start that Richard had with this product of HEX or these other derivatives or supporting products like Pulsechain and Pulsechain. But like, that's why I participate in this public forum, and that's why personally, you know, I help people learn about the products and the community, but I also take heat from those same people sometimes. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's challenging, you know? So that's my rant about why I wanted to be on your show. I think it's a pretty cool show.
Yeah, thanks, man. And I appreciate everything you said. You covered like so many things. You covered the Bitcoin cycle. You made very good points about the everyone's following the cycle, so it makes the cycle sort of thing, right? Like everyone's following. You said that also. I made a good TikTok about everyone's following the charts, which makes the charts play out as people think the charts are going to play out.
Yeah.
You covered stable coins. And you also covered, obviously, interacting with other communities. And seems like you're not so into the zealotry, so to speak. It could be a little bit isolationism, maybe, is the point you're you're trying to bring out. And yeah, no, I mean, there's I don't really know where to take it next. I guess I don't know. So like,
it's our human trait. It's our human trait.
Yeah.
I never ever met someone from Asia, ever. And then the first time that I met them, the first time I engaged them, you know, we were like, oh, and I would just like at a distance recognize some facial structure differences or the way in attire or clothing that they wear, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe as they got closer within speaking distance, I would notice that they have a different way of vocalizing, right? So they're just different, right? Still human, right? They're not so foreign that I don't think that they're human, but they definitely don't have familiar traits, right?
Yeah.
Right. And then a heated debate somehow through bridge of communication were to occur about who's wrong and who's right. It depends on the reference. It depends on their points of reference because they maybe never have engaged someone like myself. And I've never engaged them. So like some of it is like, we're so like on YouTube, we are, especially Twitter and YouTube, we assume that the person on the other side of that 3-sentence statement or that 3-sentence tweet, right? We assume that they have the same background that we do, right? We assume it. We say, like, oh, of course, they have to know that Ethereum is where the economic energy is at, and of course, the flippening is going to happen. You know, anyone can look at the adoption curve of one thing versus another and have those same references, but that's not necessarily true. And it's also true in our bias that we don't know the information that they have available to them or the echoes of their sentiment about the scale or power of their community, right? A tribe, right? So it's just like we butt heads. And I think that the easier path, although it is the more fearful path, is engaging people that know absolutely nothing about cryptocurrency, right? It's so much easier when we can put a hashtag and think that we're addressing a whole community that pays attention to the Ethereum hashtag. And now I've spoken to the Ethereans. And because I put a hashtag of Bitcoin, now I have spoken to the Bitcoiners. But who am I hashtagging when it's nobody in crypto? When it's the no coiner? Should I put the hashtag no coiner? Like no coiners aren't looking for the hashtag no coiner.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. So it's interesting. So like they're I don't know. I think sometimes hostility is sort of warranted though, because there are a lot of bad actors.
Sure. But I don't do it as a generalization. Do it as a
Yeah.
specific.
Like a lot of
this. Trayvon does that. Do it as a specific. Like I heard this argument on Lex Friedman and Kanye, right?
Yeah.
And Lex was pushing back about Kanye labeling an entire group of people based on their ethnicity and how they treated him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Lex said, I will help you if you are speaking to individuals and calling out bad behavior from individuals. Like that's a very direct assault. But if you're referencing specific things that are said and you're taking as much subjectivity out of it as you can, it's no problem when we say Joe Biden did this, Trump did that. That seems to be no problem whatsoever. But if it is somebody that's a specific known Bitcoiner, right? Like there's a few of them that really only popularize the Bitcoin narrative. Go to specific reference, comment on specific commentary that they've made, and engage in that way. Build your own personal brand. And I hate all the anonymity. I love that you were bold enough to be camera ready, public facing. And I wish that more of us were bold enough to be in similar frame. That's important to me, because we are calling out people that have public face, right? So,
yeah, I definitely understand the point, and I agree. I agree to a large extent. I just like, I don't know. I kind of just am of the opinion to just ignore them, because not someone specifically, but like if somebody like keeps persisting on a coin that's garbage, yeah. I mean, well, if you're engaging with them, then that kind of just, I mean, you have to really look at the coin. There's like different levels with when it, I guess you're referring to like the coins that are, the new coins that are out there. So kind of thing.
Well, it's funny because the only ones that we will make tags about are the
Yeah.
ones that have economic energy in them.
Yeah.
You're not making any IOTA tags. Like there's nobody making tags about, I mean, again, maybe certain ones that have this narrative about vampirism, maybe they get more attention than they should. As far as like, do they have economic energy to steal away? Like that's part of the narrative. That's part of the reasoning, really. And again, I think that if I spend a significant chunk of my daily minutes of consciousness and my daily emotional fuel tank to engage in Twitter with others that have no real likelihood of economically impacting my price, why do I do it? Like I need to, I think that it is, and it's true. We want the community's scale to be 10x, 100x, 1000x, right? That is more likely to impact your daily chart than anything. And yet it's our default to whip out the phone, throw up a tag, speak to an audience that we already have, and feels, because engaging the person at the grocery store or the Uber driver, like I love the motivation that you put in front of all of us about creating shorts. I learned how to make some shorts, and I learned how to, like the TikTok thing, I still haven't engaged a lot about the numbers. It's pretty cool that I see numbers like 100,000 plays within a day and things like that. That's pretty cool. I do know that they count every time that it is either replayed or restarted as a count. So it's not exactly 100,000. It's the same people playing the same thing over more than once, things like that. But in general, it still tags new audiences.
Yeah.
But again, it kind of goes to the I forgot what it's called, but in astronomy, when you are looking for exoplanets, you're looking in places that you had the ability to see them. And that usually is close to stars, and where light is some way of telling you that there's a star there, or that there's a planet there. And that's like less than 1% of the observable universe. Like we are only looking in places where we already have some hashtag
Mhm. Yeah, no, I think there's levels of these new coins. I think some of them are really really bad, and I just think I don't mention them because you're doing them a favor. But
Yeah.
like the problem is they just really get people wrecked. And there are some that are maybe even not so bad, and they could be called they could be considered like decent, and you could make an argument that it's helping my coins. But I just honestly, what it really comes down to is, are they going to outperform? Uh, Probably not, especially considering they're really relying. Their whole PR is basically getting people that are already in like Hex. Like it's like you kind of already have to get people to understand everything that we understand in order to be brought over into their thing. So it's like it's just too big of a barrier of entry for them to have like some serious onboarding, like Hex is capable of. So I just don't think they're outperforming. I don't. Most of them I'm not even like hostile towards. I just don't think it's outperforming, and it's like doing the people that watch my show that are new, it's doing them a disservice, because a lot of them, especially because of like this whole new coin thing where they think they're getting in on like a coin when it's new and therefore it's going to do better. They tend to like not get into Hex because they think that they're getting into something new when really like most new things suck and like completely underperform even old things. And Hex isn't even old, so that's really why I'm kind of a maxi in that sense. But I'm open-minded, so to speak, if I would really seriously see something that has like the in innovation to the caliber of what was with Bitcoin at its time, or Ethereum, and now Hex. I would totally be in it. It's just people don't understand how rare it is, and when you start talking about it, like what, yeah, and like it's just like I don't think the opportunity is here. I think the opportunity is where I am. Like that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's great. And again, I saw some short that I think it was Gary. I forgot his first name, but it's the Dane and is it Gary? Maybe I can't remember his first name, but it's the real estate guys. That I just was on their channel a few days ago, and Money Talk with Dane, I think that's his show. They are more real estate, and then fairly recently, in the past maybe 2 years or 3 years, they've gotten into cryptocurrency as well. And I see all kinds of bleed over. Like there's a YouTube channel I was just watching today, and it was something completely random, nothing to do with cryptocurrency whatsoever. And I think that it was someone that was in Miami where the yachts are parked, and they were just like asking people, kind of like everyone asks, you've got a very nice car, what do you do, how do you make your money? It's the same kind of guy. Like he was going up to rich houses, expensive houses, and saying, how did you become wealthy? I think he did a show also where he just like stood outside of a private airport and kept asking people that had jets, how did you make your money to buy a jet? Things like that, right? So he was doing some channel. And his episode was about yachts and doing the same kind of engagement as people walked by and they were going to go to their boat. And over and over and over, like, again, it's not a crypto channel, but it kept being, oh, I made money through this. And these guys are in their 50s or 60s. And they're like, yeah, I did this. And, I did finance. I started different companies. I became successful. But now I see everything's moving to crypto. Like I've come out of retirement to participate in this crypto stuff. Like I saw 4 different references to that, right? And it is because it does resonate. It is a new field, even though, like I said, it's 13, 14 years old. Seems like that would be old, top of the S curve kind of technology. But it really just, we assign price to things because they become narrative. Like Bitcoin can stay a VCR and can be a reference that we talk about its technology. But if it is popular, I think the denarius silver coin in Rome was like popular for 1,000 years. Like it was just a reference point that more people were looking at.
Yeah.
So, I love all of the stuff about it generates yield of Hex. I love the fact that it lives as code that can't be changed, as far as its code can't be changed. And the community that we gravitate around, if we grow our community, then they're going to popularize that as well. And then the scarcity versus demand impacts price. So I love all of the narratives about the economics around it. Yeah. So and even with derivatives, like there's a lot of people that really enjoy building out derivatives, and some of them have smart contract that are very appealing, and I say as positively as I can. I don't know, and again, I don't even want to. Maybe it's just my capacity or my curiosity. I like the simple things that Richard has put out there. Bigger is better, longer is better. T-share always changes. These kinds of narratives. These pretty much 3 to 4 elements about what makes HEX interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And there are things built on top of and encapsulating and using HEX, right, that have their own mountain to climb about education of how to interface, or how this derived secondary token or secondary contract would be popular as well. Like they have their own mountain to climb. But some of it just gets too complex for me. I don't want to. I didn't get in this for speculative stickiness. Like I wasn't in this 4 years ago. I was always only betting on things I thought had long use case or a relatively straightforward path to educating people that have nothing to do with cryptocurrency. Like when you explain as a new person or to a new person Bitcoin, you're only going to have a few points of reference.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what Bitcoin is. Here's how it functions. There's this thing called the halvening. This is supply and demand. It's just a few things. It doesn't do a lot of complex calculations. It's not a world computer. Doesn't enable smart contracts. It doesn't have 10,000 other things built on top of it that might have endpoint value more than the dumb pipe. Like there's less to explain, right?
Yeah.
And I would like for the people that really care about HEX to stick to their chant about why HEX is valuable. I see it embedded in value on so many other things, and a lot of people like that narrative that this is going to make HEX more popular if we embrace these other things.
Mm-hmm.
Or, this other thing is locking up supply of HEX because it is necessary to function in this other thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's great if you like that narrative, and I'm not saying it's bad. If you like that narrative, if that's your talking point and you're actually engaging more people that have nothing to do with HEX, nothing to do with cryptocurrency, and that's your confidence to actually empower you to talk to new people, great, man, that's awesome.
Yeah.
But if it's basically still speaking to the same group and just swaying them from one point to another to impact your price points inside the same community, like nobody really cares about that. Like it doesn't change the derivatives price that much compared to the base either,
Yeah, for sure. All great points. What I said about the derivatives, it's not really one way or the other, because everything really balances out. Like meaning at a given period of time, because if it's arbitrage, because inevitably it gets unlocked for the real thing. So
what's arbitrage? Trading.
Meaning if exactly. But if the Maxi token is at a premium, then it'll get dumped and people buy up HEX, and if it's at a discount. So I mean, maybe now it's like hurting the price, but in the beginning it was helping the price, and it's just over a long period of time it kind of balances out.
And again, I'm not. What I am saying is the powerful thing is, Tantanomi, Dipcatcher, Gold Key, because they are vocal in the community.
Yeah.
They are vocal about their product.
That definitely helps.
That helps. It helps because it gives them tools in their satchel as talking points.
Yeah.
It gives them boldness and bravery, and I think that that's good. Like I'm not trying to say anything harmful about the smart contracts that lock up HEX and give and utilize really the features of the HEX smart contract itself, right?
Yeah.
Bigger pays better. It's known, it's popular. Now it's simply a pooled, instead of individuals, buying up 150 million HEX at one time and sitting on it for a bigger pays better bonus, right? Yeah. So like I love what they did, and as long as their audience that they are speaking to also is brand new people.
Yeah.
Because what a lot of us get frustrated over is the inroads made by quote unquote hexicans.
Yeah.
And the clearing of the machete hacking through the jungle, so to speak, to make a a something that's at least travelable forward, pushing in, right? And then it is frustrating. They're like, okay, now there's tiled bricks behind me, and it is so much easier for people behind me. But like, come up here and start slashing some branches, man.
Yeah.
Like as long as it empowers people to speak, and as long as it empowers people to tactfully educate noobs, then that's great.
Yeah. Hey, I couldn't agree more. And could I actually, speaking about reaching new people and getting to noobs and things like that, we have a lot of people in here. We got 105 people in here, so please like and subscribe. We got some big people in here. We got Motley Investor in here.
I saw Motley pop in, man. It's good to see you, man.
What is going on? Yeah, great to see you. And he said Gold Key. Gold Key has been making TikToks. He's got great memes and he's got great TikToks. So I really like Gold Key. In especially. But can I walk you through some of the get your take on some of the happenings? I don't know what exactly. I guess you could private chat me whenever you got to go and things like that. But is it okay if I walk you through some of the happenings? Get your take on that. Obviously, an elite take. So the first thing was the TikToks. So we have this guy N Hilsensauer was in the TikTok thing. He got 100,000 views. Where is it? Right here. 118,000 views on a TikTok of Richard Hart. This is unbelievable. TikTok is like what is making Richard Hart so big right now, and it's like kind of the untold story, and you have to make it told. And then we have this is Julia Hexican. She got 567,000 views of Richard Hart.
That's awesome.
Nobody is getting these numbers. So shout out to her. Jamie
awesome.
Crypto. Look at this, guys. 318,000 views. This is like a low viewership one. He's got 71,000 here. He has gotten he's gotten some crazy view. 173,000 here. Then we got VRD HEX. He hasn't been getting those numbers yet, but he's been getting good numbers. He's been doing a great job. This is the virality juggernaut. Like virality doesn't happen on YouTube anymore. It doesn't happen. You can't go viral. YouTube is when you're already viral. It's so mainstream. Same thing with Twitter. And people say HEX is pre-viral. The only way that HEX could go viral, like HEX could go viral in the way like Harlem Shake went viral back in the day, back when I was in, I think it was like high school, is through TikTok. And we are spearheading that in the TikTok and YouTube Shorts group. I'm actually linking it. Everybody here has got to get in. You can make TikToks of yourself, of Richard Hart. And but what is your take on this TikTok movement and like the millions of views that we're getting on Richard Hart, HEX projects, and everything like that? But join the group, everybody.
Yeah, make sure that, and again, walking through those, like maybe even making a program or inviting some of these people on as a guest for your future show, that would be great, because there's still a question about the secret sauce. Is it the thumbnail that, or is it the title? Why do people click it? Like, is it because they have been looking for a hashtag, or it just winds up in their feed because it's similar to other things they've already digested? Like, I would be curious about the 500,000 or 100,000 viewers. Yeah.
So that's a great question. And I want to say a few things. So first of all, that is what we're doing in the chat. So guys, get your ass in the chat, everyone. HEX, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts. We got over 260 content creators. Even if you're not creating content, you can be in there. And when people post their content that they posted on TikTok, you click it, you like it, repost it, comment. That drives up engagement. Very important. So that's one thing. But as far as asking questions like what works, what sticks. So I've noticed a bunch of things, and a lot of people in the chat noticed a bunch of things. There are communities that are very engaging. Most notably XRP. I got like 65,000 views on an XRP comparing it to HEX. TikTok. And Jamie Crypto got, I think it was over. He got like 300,000 on his XRP one. Where is it? So XRP's big. The video game on the bottom half. What's his name? Hex Whale. And Gold Key was doing that. When you put a video game on the bottom half so people are a little distracted, yeah, this is XRP 173,000, XRP 36,000, insane numbers.
Yeah.
The video game on the bottom half, we got that from Andrew Tate because they achieve virality, and you don't mess with success. That was something big. So XRP half video game was huge. There are a couple of things. Music, trending music was big. Implementing viral juggernauts like Jake Paul was very big. There are a lot of things that we're talking about, taking feedback from what works and what doesn't. And that's why it's so important to go into the chat. But like, we're really getting HEX viral. And what I really like and why this virality is like so prevalent is because onboarding during the bear market is extremely, extremely difficult when it comes to normies. And it's not like funding Jim when he goes to these rich people and like can, sit next to them, hold their hand through the entire thing, answer all those questions. Like when we're marketing online, when we're doing outreach online, like the people that view the content don't have that. So it requires during the bull market, people are willing to. So there are a lot of hoops to jump through. You got to get a hardware wallet. You got to use MetaMask. You got to use decentralized exchange. You got to have a Coinbase on ramp or whatever. It's a lot of hoops to jump through, and getting the typical person into it is very, very difficult and not even worth the effort unless it's someone you could sit with IRL. But in terms of so that changes when the bull market comes. So the bull market comes, and then people are seeing everyone. They're seeing Motley Investors got his Lambo, and all those things, and like they're like, oh my God, he's getting so rich. I don't want to miss out, and they're willing to like put in the time and effort to jump through those things. So like you could more market on other platforms, whatever, and you could more market to normies. Especially if HEX gets like on ramps and things like that. But at this point, the best way to market is target marketing. It is getting to people that are already on crypto. They're already fluent, with the protocols of like Uniswap. So you have people like an Aave, Compound, Maker, Uni, XRP, like all those communities, getting to them. And there's a lot of money there. And you could really get them funneled seamlessly into HEX. And that's why I love TikTok, because TikTok, you have hashtags. Hashtags locks you into the conversation. Now you say, oh, but YouTube and Twitter have hashtags. That's true. But the algorithm is not as favorable because it's so concentrated and a bunch of things. And also when people go on Twitter, they usually have a topic in mind. They have a content creator in mind, right? Like they go straight to them on the search bar. They don't get served the way in TikTok you're just swiping. So, the algorithm kind of sees what sticks and what doesn't, and whatever sticks, whatever piques your interest, it keeps feeding. So, and also it's low concentration, no institutions there yet. It's like Bitcoin before it was Bitcoin. So there are so many reasons why people go viral on TikTok now, and people need to turn their attention to TikTok because you're not going to get like I see a lot of people going crazy when there's like a magazine ad or there's a race car, which was great. I like the race car, but I'm saying how many people did that turn? I mean, you're getting to people that live in the Midwest, middle class people, working class people. Like they're not crypto degens, like they're not willing to put their money into something that drops like 95%. So I mean, it's not that successful in terms of marketing, but the TikTok. You get straight to people like us, like straight to people that are willing to take risk, that are like fluent in crypto and things like that. And the score rate is so much higher. It is just that much more effective.
I think I might try something like, was it AJ Wild and Crypto Coffee and somebody else? They put up some kind of prize. I forgot. It was like about 7 or 8 months ago, maybe a year ago. And they put up some kind of prize for the most viral TikTok thing. I can't remember what that was, but it was something along those lines. And they gave away like 30,000 HEX or something like that. I forgot what the number was. But that's kind of interesting for people that say, hey, I want this product to be more popular. I want more community. And either we're going to build it ourselves, like individuals, like myself. I need to make some TikToks today. Same sort of thing, like going through that process. And right now, like a lot of the ones that should be created today should be about aliens being shot down over Montana. and if only they had a 555 stake, they'd be wealthy. Stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, that's a trending topic.
Trending topic.
Yeah.
So the same sort of thing about Rihanna, is she pregnant, or whatever other pop culture thing, it just gets into the feed, and some of it is just like product placement. So there's so many things that you didn't realize. A lot of different movies over the past 30, 40 years, they have product placement. Like, why is it that the spy movie always has all of the cars, even the enemy and the good guy, are driving BMW? It's because there's a deal with BMW. And so it just becomes like product placement familiarity. And if you use that with, especially when it's a 15-second, 30-second kind of bit of content, you're trying to get the observers listening for the punchline, or they're listening for some bit of data or information or entertainment about the, what's trending. That's interesting, but it also becomes brand familiarity. Like, more people are more likely to buy Bitcoin just because they've heard it. And we want the same thing out of the HEX brand, the HEX name. We want the same, the new ear will hear it again in a week or 3 days or 3 months. And then we're like, oh yeah, I've heard of that. And it's the same thing with like, people that have a lot of economic energy or a lot of influence that they can inform their own audiences. Like I've said this before, Kiyosaki had heard about Bitcoin for quite some time, but he didn't buy it until after it had already gone up 20,000. And it was because he had heard it so many times and so often that when it came back down to 3,300, he still didn't buy it until confirmation bias of his friend circle. His inner friend circle was buying and had held Bitcoin. And so he bought it like 6,000. And then from that point on, he's an advocate about Bitcoin. Like he's talking about it now on Twitter. But yeah, so it's the same thing. Like you want that same familiarity, even if you don't see direct impact of the NASCAR, car show. It became more familiar. Like it became a talking point. And in some ways, like here's the thing: was the NASCAR thing more useful for brand new eyes that had no context other than seeing the word hex.com driving around the track, right? That's all the context that they had, the brand new ear or brand new eye. Or was it more impactful on the people that were already involved with HEX, familiar with HEX, that could speak on the points and benefits of HEX, and them getting empowered? Like it became a point of contact to enable people like myself. Like I brought it up in conversations also with people that onboarded later, but because it gave me boldness. To talk about, did you know that we're doing this thing with the NASCAR people? Did you know that this contract has been up 1,000 days? Did you know that these are just talking points? And yeah, it would be great if that new observer absorbs that in a flash, but that's not how we function as humans. Like it becomes familiar for us more than for the noob.
So I think I'd say yes. It is more, the NASCAR thing was more effective for us than it was for the new viewers, because I think still like it was beneficial, but in terms of, it was definitely beneficial. It was a great also morale boost. It was to see that on mainstream television. It really hyped up the community. But the thing that concerns me is that like there's like so much, there's like so much excitement like going into like those kinds of things when it's really not so cost effective and it's not so marketing effective, per what they're spending, when the best marketing possible is free. It's TikTok. And like we have like everyone going crazy when there's a magazine ad, when in reality we got 1 million views last week of Richard Hart, like literally 1 million views on TikTok. And not only that, like the TikTok algorithm processes that and keeps feeding to those people. So those people are going to keep having Richard Hart pop up, and then they're going to inevitably come over here. And these people are already crypto people, and they're going to be onboarded seamlessly. I mean, that is going to throttle the price that much higher in the bull market than had we not done the TikTok. In comparison, like its effectiveness and cost effectiveness is so much greater in comparison to all these things that are really insignificant that people go crazy about. I mean, I don't want to downplay; they're not insignificant, but people should be going crazier about TikTok. That's really my
So
point.
the football game commercial, I think, was $7 million. $7 million for a commercial.
Yeah.
And there's content out there, whether it's Patrick David or I forgot who was talking about it. Maybe it was Mr. Beast directly in an interview about the price for producing something like his content. And he's obviously gone very mainstream. Even he's an inspiring person. He does have a work ethic that's amazing, and his work ethic wasn't really fired initially. I don't think it still is, about like, how can I make something on YouTube that makes me wealthy? Like, I don't think that was his goal when you listen to Mr. Beast's content. He just wanted to make better videos, and over time he wanted to be the most popular or the best channel or whatever. And the feel good vibe, I think, is really authentic. Jimmy seems to be authentic in what he presents, and he gives a lot of insight in his different like regular interview stuff on like what's the comedian guy's name? I forgot his name. But anyway, so like Reckless or something. I forgot the name of their channel. But anyway, so he really had a pretty good interview of like 45 minutes or an hour about what has been his motivation over the past 10 years to become as big of a channel and influence as he has. And I think that's the sort of thing that $7 million on a Super Bowl ad versus several $1 million on something that can get replay and entertainment and be fed by the algorithm basically forever.
Yeah.
His YouTube videos, his oldest videos, are still served up.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many football related content gets reserved by these algorithm sensitive ways to present things in front of you. Now, when you go to Netflix, trending might be on the first bar, or, popular if I'm in a different country. So very often my Netflix account will look different because I'm in a different country, and then that's what's popular locally, right? So some of these things can be a little bit algorithm fed on long form, but like I can see why you're saying that, like, make it funny. And if it really is funny, trending doesn't matter. Make it infotainment, actual infotainment. And I think you get a lot of play.
Yeah. So you're talking about like the branding, and this was another take I wanted to run by you, because like people have to, I think there has to be an acceptance at this point that HEX is still fringe. It's not mainstream. And there's a variety of reasons for that. I think it's one, because, it's not on Coinbase, and also because it's a small community, and, there's some, whatever I'm saying, there's a variety of reasons, but at the end of the day, it's on the fringe now. And everything that emerges starts on the fringe. And I think people have to understand that when you're on the fringe, you have to market as though you're on the fringe. And a lot of people are talking about like HEX commercials, and it's like, commercials are on television, and television is mainstream. It goes to the masses. It's for the masses. So like, for example, Coca-Cola TV ads are very effective at driving sales, because people see the Coca-Cola ad and they could just turn into their 7-Eleven and buy a Coke, or they could see it on a billboard. They go and they buy Coke. With HEX, you don't have that seamless method of onboard. So you want to get to the people that can see it and take action immediately. And that's why I keep on hitting home that it's important to focus right now on social media hashtags on TikTok, because that is targeted. That can target these seamless onboards, as opposed to mainstream advertising, where you're not going to really score. Even if you get a lot of viewers, you're not going to score as effectively. And you're certainly going to be spending a lot more money.
When you're making your TikTok, or anybody that's making any of these things, look at what you can do with a cell phone.
Yeah.
Look at what you can do just in the past 30 days with AI imagery. Look at what you can do probably within the next 2 to 3 months at the longest, of automatic video editing. I saw some really amazing content today, and it was about, I think it's called Runway. Is it called Runway? Have you been looking into the AI stuff at all?
I don't go much further than Chat GPT.
Yeah. So there's I'm going to send the link,
Mhm.
copy. Let me put it in your thing.
You could share your screen if you want.
No, I don't. All right, that's fine. I'll just put it in private chat and then you can repost it.
All
Or
right.
you want to share on your screen, it's fine.
Sure.
Um, so Runway is very interesting. There's other websites, like I think it's called like Hugging Face or something like that, might be another one that shows all of the new um, yeah, Hugging Face might be the next one. That's another one. But basically it's like the new AI things, what's happening in AI. And daily there's like 10 to 12 things that are brand new, hasn't been, known yet, and things like that. Pretty cool. But what's neat about Runway is I just saw some content about it. It does the similar things you've already heard about, like Mid-Journey, image search, image creation on the fly, and things like that. And it is pretty good about its video editing embedded. Like, you're not downloading any software or anything like that. It's embedded into the website portal, and it's doing, through its own servers, the creation of basically your prompts, very similar to Midjourney. But it also is, I just saw something today where you can take an image of that they're releasing very soon. It's like in the sign up for a first access kinds of thing level right now. But you basically can take your own iPhone and film yourself, and then you can either choose to have that content remade, like a claymation. I saw one where it was a claymation. A guy's just walking down the street filming himself, and then he uploaded or he linked it into, it could even be YouTube content. And you just basically say, remake this content in the form of claymation or the form of, some Japanime or something like that, right? And it'll do it in that format. Like, it'll redo the video in a different imagery. That was really cool. And there's other ones where you could have your base content, which might be you jumping around, dancing TikTok style or whatever, but then you can upload an image, and it will take elements from the image and then create a style. So say the image was of a campfire and you dancing around. Now you're Mr. Flame from Fantastic Four, like stuff like that. Like, it's really impressive. And so, like, if you see something that is beginning to be trend, like you heard about it earlier in the day, you're seeing Mario starting to make, Twitter space rooms about it, Andrew Tate and all this other kinds of stuff that we really have been flooded with in the past month. Take, 20 minutes, use some of these very fast tools, incorporate or embed HEX or hex.com or something like that into it, and just remake it, because it will feed into that algorithm. What YouTube and TikTok and all these other platforms want is engagement. And what they want is the user to stay on the platform as long as possible, just like a
Yes.
casino. Their goal is to sell you products. And so, like, that's really what can get these numbers up as far as familiarity, is like the things that are already being served out and basically linking to them, product association.
Oh, some great stuff. And we're going to have to take a look at these things and use the trends, because the trend is your friend until the end. I guess could I shift it to the everyone wants to hear about the Pulsechain V3. They want, obviously nobody's really an insider per se, but obviously you are very smart and you've been here a while, and you would have some insight regardless. What do you think about the V3 launch time frame? People said it was days away. We had the bug. Some people are saying it affected a lot. When do you think Pulsechain testnet V3 is going to be coming?
I've got a lot of economic, incentive for it to happen now. That's the same as all of us. If we are waiting, anticipating, because you've been staging funds to participate on the launch, or if you did a sacrifice and an airdrop may or may not help you in the future from that sacrifice. We don't know. Like, it's all the ambiguity that we've heard for a year and a half. I think KDP has done great with like informing people. I think that Gamma Dev Ops has done great with informing people about this proof of stake Ethereum fork. Effectively with the system state, like education, even recently has come more from the community than it has from Richard directly, right? So like there's screenshot stuff that's come out of every few days from Richard. He really has been super crazy quiet, right? And when he does release things, then it takes people like the ones I mentioned, or Steph, or Gold Key, or something like that, to kind of go through an explainer. I think that that's helpful. It alleviates some of the anxiety that all of us feel when we are blinded, so to speak. The last I heard was that there was a synchronization point, and that was like 90% of the process, but with its different clients not matching the database, like the two different types of clients, or many of them types of clients, that they're pulling from the same data, but they didn't get the same result. And because of that, then there's been this halt, basically, to rectify the bug. And the bug, I haven't heard from others that have spoken on the topic that it's a stress point, that it's like, okay, we're going to fix it and move forward. It's not that big of a deal, right?
Yeah.
And I also had heard that the waypoints, the checkpoints, so to speak, allow it to just start from that point and move forward instead of restarting work. So those are all good narratives in general. Maybe that has impact on the price. I did see that Ethereum was sinking lower. You commented earlier about Bitcoin sinking lower. HEX seems to be, as far as the last time I checked, was like 4.5 cents or something. So it doesn't seem like it's harming the narrative in general. There's going to be price speculation. There's people that are speculating about, when V3, because they know that some percentage of our population and community that's aware of it will pull the trigger and say, okay, now I'm going to buy, because it's a buy the rumor, sell the news event. When V3 comes out, maybe there'll be new features, and there'll be more buzz, and there'll be more influencers and commenters making content about what's new and available inside the platform of V3. There's going to be a lot of content that's going to be generated about whether the new version, consensus is different, but is the platform, does it feel different? Does it have new features or anything we didn't have already to play with earlier? One of the big things that I think, as far as like real price movement, like I think that there'll be undulation. I think there will be opportunity basically for traders to move in, move out, play the same cycle that they have in every Cardano release, or every Ethereum is going to do something release. Like that motion economically is still going to happen. People are still going to say, here's a good opportunity for entry, here's a good opportunity for exit, because it is still test net. Then there'll be ambiguity about when will mainnet happen, right? So I don't think that there will be, me personally, and I'm no one other than my own. I can't control anyone other than my own bags, so to speak. So I'm not going to bet much on price, as far as price, until I see it is popular that running a validator and the hardware. We're starting to see more of the TikTok videos you're talking about, of people posting up there, hey, I just got this hardware. I paid $1,500 for it. I'm going to run a validator node because I want to decentralize. Like, I want to see more of the hardware stuff, since we are POS. And I want to see more of that walkthrough and some of that content. And the first person to really bring that to light has really been Gamma Dev Ops. His channel is really the first people that I've seen, really, or Alex has been saying about his own server centers and things like that, and maybe about like how people can get things off the shelf, but not a lot of content. Like I think Gamma Dev has got Substack and things like that of a lot of useful videos that are for people that want to be validators. And then there's going to be speculation about if it's better interest to just buy the coin, sit on the coin, stake the coin inside of a protocol or algorithm, gather the coin because you're a validator and you're supporting the decentralization of the network narrative. Like, there's going to be a lot of price speculation also about where should you ROI, where you're going to get ahead of others, so to speak. So like, I want to see more of that content before I really think that there's mainnet imminent. I don't think there's mainnet imminent while it's still a relatively small pool of people that already knew what to do because they already were doing these things on Ethereum, and they're basically just going to switch rails, on what they are mining or validating or supporting as an infrastructure. I want to see more of Cookie's content, him and his Chia people. I want to see them talking about like, hey, Chia people, their coin is, I think, a proof of work mining kind of coin. I want to see more of that bridging because they seem to be cooperative, collaborative, and we don't have to be hostile to them. They are a different algorithm and a different network, and I think that there's some synergy that can be drawn there between both factions. I don't think that I'm selling out if I talk to Cookies inside of some of these rooms. I think there's some collaboration. Sometimes he gets very hostile and he's a little bit shit talker, but he's still a friend, and I think his intentions are in the right place. So I'm trying to play the diplomat role, and my diplomat role is still, validators are necessary. Richard has said next to nothing about popularizing validator versus participating in coin sequester through algorithm and protocol. Like, he hasn't said that about this new version of consensus. So there's things that surely will come original from Richard, and then there's other things that we're just trying to infer where we should go as a community, or as supporters of the community, based on hardware, protocol, security models, things like that too. Like, there's a lot of content that we're not talking about because we don't know enough to talk about it yet.
Well, there you go. So all those in the TikTok chat, you know what you need to cover now.
Yeah.
There you go.
Again, I think that if you're being respectful and you're taking an excerpt of 5 to 10 seconds, respectful and promoting his channel too, because he is making content, and he has a pay for service if you want to be consulted. He, just like you do, like, these are great. I think people should monetize their knowledge base. Like, I think it's useful. And if the market respects it, wants to buy it, then great. And if the market doesn't want it, then great. That's fine too, right? Like, we are all enterprising personalities. And I think Gamma Dev Ops, same thing. If you're forwarding and saying, I don't know everything about being an RPC node operator, or, making sure the security model of your keys are not going to get slashed. I don't know everything, but gosh, this guy sure does. Like, I think edification is worthwhile, and you can make TikTok content about it. Like, you can do stuff and point people to sources of good information.
Yeah, 100%. Yes, and that is how things get viral. So I guess people were saying within days. The bug seems like it's not that big of a deal. Can we see V3 within days?
Yeah, I don't see a reason why not. Like, I haven't been saying that it. And again, I haven't really gotten into the timeline. Even like, I'm excited just like everybody before 3 or 4 or 5 months ago when we pivoted, when Ethereum had its merge and it went through its successful merge. That's really where, like, we've been more pressure on Richard. Sure, May, sure, June goes by, July goes by, and so forth, and people get frustrated and they vent. That's understandable. Absolutely understandable. A lot of economic energy has been put to some political cause, and if I don't see that, it's almost like saying I gave a lot of money to Red Cross, and then I never see any content from Red Cross that's supporting the purpose of Red Cross. Like, people are frustrated, right? And that's understandable. And if it's this other, the release and airdrop of this new L1 coin and this new DEX coin, and all the parody narratives, or here's why HEX will be more valuable on this network and why it was created. Like, there's all kinds of narratives out there, and they're all pretty much trying to support the same thing, which is price go up. That's why we care. We do not honestly. I don't think we honestly care. Like some people that are very philosophical, like Cookies will be, or Orca would be. We've got to have the Nakamoto coefficient or ratio higher, right? People don't care. They do not care. Like a majority of people do not care. They just
Yeah.
want the price to go up. That's all they
Yeah.
care.
Well,
Right?
when the price goes up and I'm rich, I'm so gonna care about those things. But like
Of
right
course.
now, okay, I don't. Right
Yeah.
now, I don't care, but I will care. Like
Yeah.
once, then I'll be like so in it for the tech, you guys.
Yeah. I mean, all the people, all the, again, we got a lot of commentary about, and again, Papa has done terrific about being like the go-to about security and things like that, right? Hardware wallets and all the echoings that we have. But really, if the thing you have is not valued by other people and you don't value it very much, you're not going to care if it's secure or not, right?
Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of the first push of price, if not all of the first push of price, is anticipation and release. It's orgasm, basically. Oh, here we go, orgasm time. Like I'm so excited that I finally got to this point. Like, right,
Yeah.
and then there's going to be a denouement, which happens. Everything that releases has this first anticipation, first price point, and then typically a dip. I don't know anything that hasn't had some dip. Maybe there can be referenced. I don't know them. I don't know of them. And then there's the long climb. If it has, product market fit, if it has the security to protect the thing that you put economic energy into, if adoption, all these different metrics or measuring points, we can look at, and it really comes down to our own faith. Everything comes down to faith. Religion is not going to grow if people don't evangelize, right? It's an idea. The popularity of the dollar, which is 70% of all currency trade on the planet, is because there have been evangelists. Sometimes they've been evangelists through military force. Sometimes they've been evangelists about like narrative and adoption, or different leaderships placed in different countries about why the dollar is accepted or tolerated instead of their own. Like there's all kinds of reasons, but still it comes down to like people have to promote the idea. The idea isn't promoted, then it doesn't become a network that has so much has so much fortitude to survive, like to thrive and survive. So when George was talking about, we're talking about cryptocurrencies and central bank digital currency, and how do you know that it's not already a digital ledger? It is, like the dollar is. Like you've never seen a network as powerful as the dollar and all of the derivatives that go with it, right?
Yeah.
So we are. I don't think that going against the dollar is wise.
Yes, I agree.
I think that, there's a synergy that can be, and a different use case for cryptocurrency, but still 99% of the reason why we care about these things is because price goes up.
In dollars.
Yeah, in dollars, and your purchasing power goes up, and you can align with community about when you might exit or enter. Like here's the chart, here's the best timing, here's the cycle of other things that are referenced, here's the equinox, and we're going to have a full moon. Like we can have all these narratives, right, about why you should do something or get in or get out. But it really comes down to, if there's not someone evangelizing, if there's not someone popularizing, no idea takes root. No idea becomes popular.
It's true, and that's what I said. So like HEX, there will come a point where the missionary duties can become less active. Sort of, it'll reach an autopilot. Like in the beginning in Bitcoin, you had these people that set forward and were. Roger Ver was like traveling the world, and he was trying to get everyone into Bitcoin, and you had all these people networking and stuff like that. And like at this point, any single one of those people could step back, and many of them have, and other people, fill the gap. Less quality people, unfortunately, but nevertheless, Bitcoin has taken that life of its own. There will come a point where any one of us. I mean, not that I'm that important, but I'm saying like there are people that there has to be shilling, so to speak. There has to be marketing, active marketing by all of us. And then there will reach the point where it is so ubiquitous with cryptocurrency that it'll take on a life of its own. But I agree with that 100%. And I guess let me. So you think that mainnet is V3 is coming very soon? Do you have a price target for HEX at V3?
8 cents.
8 cents. I like that.
You know, a high point would be, again, and I'm taking this from, I think it's from famous Dixon Piper, Access Alive. These are, as far as like the TA people that I stopped long enough to watch and engage and listen to their content. It seems reasonable. And again, they're looking at charts, not just of the product of HEX, but they're trended information over other charts and news events and things like that in different sectors over time. Like they seem to have an experience base in addition to their making shapes out of chart information. And again, if enough people are looking at similar data, they're probably going to come to similar conclusions. And then it becomes the question to the individual. Now that everybody is in agreement about what's going to happen, the market often responds with, now you thought I was going to go that direction, I'm going to go this other direction because I'm a big enough whale, pushes the price counter, or enough people say, hey, I've always heard that I should buy when there's blood in the streets and I shouldn't buy tops. And these narratives are now not useful. So like when you were saying earlier about like the Bitcoin halving narrative, 4-year cycle, I see content now where people are saying, of course I wouldn't stake for 5 years or 10 years or 15 years. I'm just going to stake every 4 years and make sure that it comes out during the tops. Like when enough people see that pattern, then the pattern changes.
Exactly. That's true. And that's why I say Jim Cramer is not some liar, deceitful person. I mean, he might be, but he is wrong because did you hear that when I said that? Did you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They say buy the rumor, sell the news. Jim Cramer is the news. Whatever he says is the news. That is what is sold upon.
Yeah.
So even if Jim Cramer would have been right, even if like his thesis, was accurate before he reported it, once he reported it, he is that big that it disrupts market dynamics and things generally cannot play out in that way that he said it would. Because, it gets front ran and then the front ran gets front ran and the front ran gets, people buy the dip and it's a completely different market dynamic. That's why Jim Cramer doesn't have the best track record. And I said there will come a point where Richard Hart will not be a price calling oracle because he's going to be that big, unless he does it in private, unless he has like a private trading chat that you have to spend like $1 million if he did that, if he charged $1 million a year for his private calls, people would do it.
Yeah.
So unless he does that sort of thing.
The thing with John McAfee when he was alive, he would make an announcement and then you would see the price pump like crazy. And then you would know, because you can see the other 100 things that got talked about, that it's going to crash. Like, that there's going to be people that just buy and then they just sell because it didn't matter about the protocol. It mattered about the person. I want to compliment again. I see that Access had commented in there. I wanted to compliment. And the compliment is, there are people that are, they can go through a laptop and they can do line prompt and terminal interactions and they understand whether it's Linux or Windows or iOS or whatever it is. And they know what they're looking at when it goes to processing kernels. And it really gives them a high to know all of the terminology, interaction, and function of computing, right? And they're probably, if you are interested in that information, the people that you should go to, because they are experts in the field and they've built it through their own curiosity, their own observance, their own investment of time. And that's useful. If that is what you are looking for, go to the expert, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that actually buy other products such as Apple because it's just imagery. And I don't want to know how a toaster works. I just want toast. Like, I don't need to know that it has heating elements and alternating currents. And this is the metal that's, the function of how a toaster works. It's not going to give me satisfaction when what I want is toast, right? So what a lot of people in our community, we talk narrative, we echo sentiment or viral catchphrases that Richard popularizes. That's really the movement about the value narrative. And then there are the charts, and the charts are echoes of sentiment. and they can be, you know, and you can infer what's likely to happen, especially when the people that will probably capitalize on charts are people that look at charts and say, aha, what that guy said makes sense because I see this play out in other things similarly. It's a probability thing. It's not a guaranteed outcome. It's what's the probability. And so if you are participating in any of these products of cryptocurrency or anything else, and you're looking for data feed like an engineer to feel comfortable about pulling the trigger either to buy or sell, that's probably where you should get your information, is from other people that have invested time, knowledge, resource of their own, curiosity, because it's their natural abilities and natural desire to be curious. That's the people you should listen to. And it's useful. Like Access will speak to people that I can't speak to because I don't know charts or care, right? And similarly, if he or others like him, like I talk sometimes, I've done streams with Dixon Piper and things like that too, is like, it's just out of a community of however many of us that there are that hold and advocate about HEX product or Pulsechain or cryptocurrency or DeFi. Like, you're going to speak to an audience and you're going to listen to people to get your information based on you, right? And you're a talent, basically, of expressing ideas. And someone else that has aligned incentive, which is we want price go up. That's all it is. Like, I'm going to speak because I care about these philosophy things or these governmental actions or whatever it might be, right? And I still care because price go up. That's why I care, right?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to complement the fact that I'm not a chartist. I have no idea what's going to happen about when things are ascending or descending shapes or any of that crap. It's not for me.
Yeah.
But there are plenty of people that will impact the price because they make decisions when they are confirmed or affirmed by other people that also are experts in their field, right? So I like out of the spokespeople of, like, I think Crypto Sloth, or what a Sloth does it, and a few other people make content about like TA. Out of our community, I like Access's way of framing things.
I do TA. But then I also say that, like, it doesn't do anything. But
well, you do TA, but you always, like, you're self-deprecating. The way that you, like, hey, this is what it's saying, but I don't know. Like you give confidence, and then you're like, eh.
Because honestly, I agree with you that, like, if it drives engagement, right? If, like, more people are gonna do, if more people are gonna talk about HEX because of TA, then great, and that's why I do it.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's a bunch of nonsense.
Well,
it's like, where do you see on the where do you see on the chart? Like, where did you see on the Terra Luna chart that the UST was gonna depeg? Did you see a UST depeg pattern? It's like these things matter, like market, current events, like how the future unfolds matters, and you can't see that on a chart. Like, no one can tell the future.
And I think that someone that's able to speak well, like Access or Dixon, they can highlight that just as strongly.
Yeah.
That news events, depegging events, actions by whether it's Do Kwon or the SEC or whatever, putting fear into a market or assuring a market, are definitely going to impact price for sure. And it usually is a restart of a chart narrative. Like, oh, look, here's the Black Swan event from this year, and here's what happened in this year. And look, this is like, we correlate them to news events, right?
Yeah.
And typically, because that, like, even if you look at the staking habits of participants in HEX, forever it's going to echo December 2nd. Forever. Like December of 2019 is the reference point of when you first could set a stake. And some people said, I'll give this thing 6 months. Some people said, I'm going to do it this 1 year. Some people said, I'm going to do it on my birthday for the next 15 years. Like everyone in HEX doesn't have the same birthday, but did you know that in a room of 30 people, 2 people have statistically very high probability of having the same exact birthday?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever done that thing where, like, in a classroom, the teacher says, You know, I think he goes through the birthdays, and when you look at the birthdays of like 30 people in a classroom, super high statistic odds that 2 people have the same identical birthday. Like there's something along those lines. I'm not explaining it well enough, but like that's what I'm saying is there's news events, there's like our human affinity to count to 10 because we've got 10 fingers, you know, look at birthdays or calendar events or Christmas or New Year's or whatever it is. These are all these like anchoring points. And if you look at the hex.vision staking histories, you know, in future, you'll see that. You're like, oh, that's why there's so much on this day, is like everybody was doing a 10-year stake on December 2nd, 2019. And so 29 is going to be a big, you know, unstaking event, right? So
yeah. Great points. And just let me give a shout out to like some people in the chat. Obviously, shout out to Access Alive. We got a lot of big people in here. Shout out to Todd, he's a patron. You too could become a patron in the description, everyone. We got Johnny Chaos, Ruben Gary too. Johnny Chaos. Johnny Chaos, we had an amazing interview, which I
watched it twice now. I watched your stream with him that just came out a few days ago, and he's doing like a streaming run. He's
making his rounds.
He's the most like active community person about like highlighting ideas and condensing them down, and I know he does it without really wanting to. Like he doesn't want. He wants to be unpopular.
Yeah, not too bad. sorry, Johnny, but
he's great. He's great about like distilling ideas when he's doing his Magic the Gathering cards and rarity of marbles versus diamonds, and he puts these things into metaphors that, you know, and that are relatable, and I like his ability to do that a lot.
Yeah, he's an incredible orator. He holds your attention. It's like you feel like you're being pulled by the lapels when you're talking. Like you can't get your attention off him.
But you know, again, there's only emotion in the way people speak is because they care. Like if he did not care about wrecked plebs and idiots on the internet, he would not make the content for them. Like he makes things in a way that, yes, it echoes and like, yeah, I'm on Johnny's side, and you know, I believe as passionately as he does, or whatever an expression. But like he is a kind-hearted person that should not be tested.
I agree. No, 100%.
That, you know, it's a kind-hearted person that should not be tested. Don't mess with him.
Don't mess with him. It's true. Okay, and shout out to Crypto 7 watching. Shout out to K4K Crypto, guys.
Oh,
in the chat.
You got great audience people today.
Yeah, awesome. Well, it's not me, it's you. But I guess I have to drop this question on you. Is there a mainnet time frame? Johnny said May, because then Richard would say, like, he was really right that it's May. When do you think Pulsechain mainnet will be launched?
I don't think, me personally, again, I'm framing it just on my own investment thesis for me. And my investment thesis for me is I need to see people like Gamma DevOps. I need to see, you know, people posting, you know, as hidden as they choose to be about Reveal, but hey, I just got my validator set up. I'm ready to rock and roll, like that kind of thing. I think that the testnet window will be helpful because some of that content will come out. Richard will probably highlight, here's the test net, here's what happened with the AMM fixer bot. Here, you know, people will engage with platforms and things like that. But he made a point of highlighting in HEX that other people could put up front ends, that it was not dependent on a single front end. And I want to see him making similar content, if not others like Gamma Dev and so forth, saying, here's how you can do it at home. Here's how turnkey or easy it is. Here's how difficult it is and what you need to understand before you move your hardware to another IP address, or, you know, relocate. Like he talks about the only way that you really can be slashed. So I want to see that content come out on this next test net. If it's during the test net and I see that it is popular, echoed, retweeted by Richard, things like that, I'll be like, oh, we're getting very close. Like we're getting very close to mainnet, because Richard is advocating things he sees in the marketplace and content and commentary in the marketplace. And he is highlighting yeah, you're right. And he's highlighting no, you're wrong. Like, here's what you need to understand to support the network. Like, I want to see that. If I see that, which again, these are all dependent on the action from leadership, right? Whether it's Richard or others, like there needs to be leadership commentary. I don't even see, like, maybe because I'm blocked or he doesn't care about me or whatever. I don't even see Rackham making that kind of content, and he is known to be very vested in his community, very vested in the Pulsechain Pulsechain products, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I want to see him making content talking about security models and how to support the network. I would love to see him talking about that more than I would like to hear any of these guys talk about price. I really don't care about price if I don't see that content same time. So, like, that's where I would be more confident to say mainnet is imminent. Like, we are prepared for thousands of home-based validators that are running at lower than running an executable Bitcoin miner, right? Back in the day. Like, I want to see that narrative popular. Then I would be like, yeah, we are ready, like, for mainnet.
So
I speculate and say that, that would take the minimum of like 3 months. That would be like my minimum of, like, it's popular, it's known, we're all ready. People are posting their photos of their, their hardware set up in the corner of their gym or whatever it is, their business and stuff like that. Like, I would love to see that. Then I'd be like, yeah, we're ready. Like, I see it on the Chia people, they do it. Like, I want to see it with us.
So you're saying that the technical videos showing, and like those kinds of things will sort of be a catalyst for the mainnet launch.
Yeah, but I mean, it's necessary now. It's not a delegated proof of stake. Before with DPoS, with HODL and
it was just 33, right?
Yeah, I mean, there was this idea that, oh yeah, you can stand in place of others and go into rotation and take someone else's spot. There was that thing because your delegation, but there was hardware requirements that were far and beyond what most people could do at their home. That wasn't really highlighted a lot by Richard or others.
So now it's regular proof of stake.
Now it's regular people running a gaming laptop that they just wipe. They start over. It's fairly minimal. If you want to buy brand new hardware, it's a fairly low capital cost.
There you go.
In your house,
guys, run that node in your house. So what we need a date though. You have to give us a date. Okay, you don't have to.
I would say after he releases testnet, and when is that? I would like to see a lot of that prep videos because testnet should have validators too. Like, I would love to see him making more. Again, it's a requirement of the work of others. So maybe that's why he doesn't do it. We can speculate about why Richard isn't making a lot of content, but it'd be great signal that testnet is here, and then once testnet is actually accessible, you can go to a website and you can start moving coins around and playing the speculation game on what people value as, numbers on a screen versus numbers that impact your buying power. Like, this is free movement. So there's a lot of people take a lot of risks because nobody is looking over their shoulder to see their high score.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? So I would still, and again, I think that I don't think he's timing the market. Let me say that. I do think that when testnet happens, we need, I would think, 3 months. And that is because there needs to be TikTok content, commentary content, people trying to break it content, haters content. That kind of content needs to get out there, right? And right now we are starting effectively sort of from scratch on that issue.
Johnny loves the TikTok content, by the way. Yeah. Okay, so that means I could infer it's days from now. So let's say V3 is in a week, so that means 3 months. So May. We're okay. May, there you go. I guess that supports Johnny. And I'm a little pressed for time, but sorry. I have to get out of. No, it's not your fault. It's mine. I have to get out of you quickly. Your price call for when mainnet launches.
Price call
8 cents on V3. So mainnet price.
Again, it comes down to it comes down to who controls the most liquidity. I agree with what Johnny has said about if the price is set and he wants parity, or OA wallet wants parity, then parity will exist because we won't have enough to move it.
But the HEX price, I guess, one day before the launch.
HEX 1 day before the launch of a mainnet.
Yeah.
You're saying?
Yeah.
HEX price 1 day before mainnet. You're talking May, and you're talking mainnet, and you're talking Ethereum hex.
Ethereum hex, because there's no PHEX yet.
Yeah, I think there'll be a buying frenzy, and I think the buying frenzy will still be the narrative of I want coins available to me during the 2 day or so, no bridge existing, right? I think that will push price. I think that there has been a lot of supply taken off of the market in different mechanisms, and I would guess 20 cents.
20 cents.
I'm just guessing.
I know we're all guessing, so guys, we can't. You can't hold us. Nobody knows, but I guess yeah. I think
that 20 cents, or let's say what is that? Let's say 26 cents, because what is it? It was an all-time high, 56 cents or 50 what?
52, or it depends on the exchange. I think it was like 50.
If it was 52, then 26 cents, because the narrative in marketing could be you've got it parity on two chains, and that's 56 cents. Like that could be a marketing point. And then if it becomes a very stable bridge, and HEX becomes a bridge basically to Ethereum, that's pretty cool. I like what you and Johnny talked about in your channel. So I like his narrative that way. It's appealing. It makes like logical and marketing sense to promote. So yeah, I can see that.
Okay, there you go, you guys. 26 cents. Funding Jim, Gary, thank you so much for coming on. Taking it on such short notice. I really appreciate everything. Guys, please like and subscribe. And is there anything you want to plug, or any final words you want to say before?
Like I said, I've been saying it for a while. I'm going to focus on making like new capital management kinds of content more than the crypto speculating kinds of content, even these price things or economics things. I like the networking. I do it for social validation. People have tried to rail me over and says, oh, he's doing it. I'm not doing it for money. I am doing it for social validation. I got nothing else to do with my time. So I do want to engage people that are in all walks of financial ability, but like I tend to deal mostly with real estate people and long-term wealthy people. It's more, it's less chaos. I don't like chaos. People with the smallest bags seem to be the loudest and most voracious and difficult to deal with.
It's true. And if you have a small bag, you could come to me, furufinance.com. Free one-on-one, book it today.
But follow me on Twitter, and if you have somebody inside your wheelhouse you are not comfortable to approach, do well with edifying other people that you think they may engage. Like it's better to leave the Johnny Appleseed seed and then refer it to someone else to tend or nurture if you're not going to do it. So take action is really the point about your audience. And if the action is that you can close a deal and basically get involvement and adoption moving forward, that's all great. Yeah. But I would say don't sit on your hands and think that they are randomly going to encounter someone that's more bold. Make the bridge, refer to someone else that helps with the close. That's better.
There you go. Well said. And you said you don't like chaos, but obviously.
Well, I like chaos. I like Johnny. Johnny is different. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much again. And guys, please like and subscribe. Go to furufinance.com. Book your free one-on-one today. And have a great rest of your day, guys. I'll see you tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern time.
See you.